Yo, what's good with y'all, man? Back again with another. I don't know if this is gonna be a freestyle or I might have to think of a new series name. Anyway, so I had this revelation, and every time I pass a test, I guess, and even though, like I said in this last video, it's going off the last video where I got kicked out of the movies. And even though I didn't completely pass the test, I did much better than I would have in my youth or, in my sinful state. Anyway, I had this revelation. And I mentioned that in that video how I had talked to my mom and how she was, the person that calmed me down and who was able to put me in the right mindset to make, a good enough video where I could still reveal, parts of myself that may not be, the most beautiful or the most righteous, but to still show that, I'm making progress and I'm trying and that, I'm, not a devil in disguise, right? So, and I was talking to my mom about how important she was to me and how much of a role model she is for me and how, just how much she inspired me and how much she makes me really understand what it takes to be a successful person and what it takes to be, what it's going to take for me to be who I want to be. And she had said something to me. And, me and my mom, we've been through a lot of rocky times, especially in the last, I would say, year or two, because, I'm at this point, or I was at this point, I'm still at this point now where, I'm 21, I'm 22, I'm about to graduate from college. I'm like right in that transition phase of like going from a boy to a man. And, that's very hard for, I'm sorry, it's my work computer. But anyway, that transition phase is very hard for especially mothers to go through, because it's like, you my baby, you my little boy, you about to be you trying to be a man, you got your beard, your mustache coming in, like what is going on? So we've been butting heads a lot, and just a whole lot has happened in this past, I would say, 2 years. But we've gotten through it, and our relationship, I don't think me and my mom have ever had a better relationship, except maybe when I was like a little kid, like 4 or 5. But anyway, she was talking to me on the phone when, she was calming me down and helping me to, organize and compartmentalize my thoughts. And she was like, I know I was hard on you, when you were growing up. I know I may not have gotten everything right. I may not have always said the right things to you. I may have been, a little too tough, or I may have said the wrong thing here and there, but I knew I was raising a king. And I knew what you were going to have to, like the responsibilities that you were going to have and the skills that you were going to need to be who you were meant to be. It really just touched me. And now that I'm seeing, the man that I'm becoming, the things that I'm doing, I understand why my mom did the things that she did and why she raised me the way that she did and why she was so hard on me and why she said certain things to me and why she pushed me so hard and was always, she never accepted mediocrity. Obviously, moms are always like, I love you for who you are. You can be anything you want to be. But she just never, accepted. She knew when I wasn't reaching my full potential, or she knew when I wasn't trying my best. And, she called me on it and she wouldn't allow it. Anyway, this made me think of the concept, and I hear this a lot, especially from men, but just in society in general, especially in red pill content or just content within the manosphere, right? And masculine, or in terms of, in regards to the theme of masculinity, how a woman can't raise a man, right? A woman can't raise a king. And that's really what a real man is. A real man is a king. He's a king, not necessarily from a societal perspective, but, within his household, within his family, within the people who he is meant to preside over. I'm sorry. I'm trying to multitask. I'm getting all these messages from my job. Anyway, and I don't think So basically, what my revelation was, right? That's what I started out the video with. I got a revelation. I don't think a man or a woman can raise a king. Only God can raise a king. Only the Most High, Ahia, can raise a king. Y'all should look up that name too, Ahia. Look up Ahia. I just found that out a couple weeks ago. You know, that is one, like, that's really like the real name of God. Ahia. Anyway, so how can I articulate this? Men and women, you know, obviously a boy, a young man, he really needs his father, but he definitely needs a masculine influence, a masculine presence within his life where he can see how, you know, a real man, a masculine man is supposed to act, and how he's supposed to carry himself, and how he's supposed to handle his business. But at the end of the day, no sinful human being, no man or woman can raise a king. God is the one who raises a king. He's the one who chooses, you know, I pick you, I like you. And we're going to go over a Bible verse real quick that perfectly articulates, I guess, this detail. And hopefully you guys will be able to see or to understand the same things that I'm starting to understand in regards to that. So let's get into it, man. All right, y'all. So we back. Again, now we're going to go over this Bible verse that I was telling you guys about. And this is the Bible app. I'm sure a lot of you guys use this app. And I mean, for me, like, I have Bibles, like physical Bibles in my house, but I don't know. I like to use the Bible app because it, like, I have it with me all the time. You know, I can't read my Bible everywhere. And it's just, I don't know. This is the one book that I find it easier to read, like, electronically or online. Every other book that I read, you know, y'all know I'm a big reader. So, like, normally I'm real big on, like, I need physical copies. I don't want no PDF, no Kindle. No, bro, I don't do that. But this, I will definitely, like, I can't, like, I'm not gonna say I can't read, like, the physical Bible, but, like, I prefer this. Anyway, so we gonna get into it, man. So this is 1 Samuel chapter 16, and we gonna read all the way. I don't know what verse it is exactly, but I'll know it when I see it. So this is in regards to God picking the next king of Israel. And, you know, Israel wanted a king, right? Israel wanted to be like, oh, we want to be like everybody else. We want to have a king. Before that, God was the king over Israel. But, you know, God being the loving, compassionate entity that he is, he was like, you know what? All right, fine. Y'all gonna see. So I'll pick a king for y'all, right? So, and I also want to speak briefly on this first verse, and I'll read it for you guys first. Now the Lord said to Samuel, how long will you mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and go. I am sending you to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided myself a king among his sons. And I want to briefly speak on that verse because back when I was going to church, I haven't been to church in months, you know, and that's been for, you know, I honestly, I do miss my church family. I miss my pastor. I miss the people, you know, that I had connected with there. But I know that me going to church is not going to, you know, lead to my salvation. I need to read the Bible for myself. I need to establish, you know, godly habits within my life and to understand the Bible for myself. And, you know, I'm not going to say I'm never going to go to church again, but that is the reason, you know, if any of my church brothers and sisters, Pastor Kev, my boy Trav, Chris, any of y'all are seeing this, that is why I haven't been. It's because I've been in the wilderness. You know, I've been trying to improve myself and you know, to get to where I need to be. But anyway, I remember one of the best sermons that, you know, Pastor Kev, who I just mentioned, ever did. And this was like right around the December, like Christmas time period. And I had been going through a breakup, right? I was going through probably the worst breakup of my life. And he had talked about this verse, and it like the title of the sermon was to fill your oil and go. So if you see, like, let me read it again. Like, now the Lord said to Samuel, how long will you mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him? fill your horn with oil and go. Right? And he had talked about how so many of us try to hold on to things that God has rejected for us, that God has pushed out of our lives, has separated us from. God doesn't want you to have that. God doesn't want you to be around that person. He doesn't want you to do this substance anymore. But so many of us try to cling on to and try to hold on to these things that God has purposefully removed from our lives, and we mourn and we complain and we crying and thinking all day and night about this person or about this substance. And he was like, no, bro, like fill your oil and go. Get back in your Duffy and run it up. Straight like that, bro. Stop crying. Stop mourning over spilled milk. Bruh, get back in your Duffy and keep it moving. God has bigger things planned for us. God removes things for a reason. If it was meant for us, it would have stayed. Right? So, and that just really helped me. I still think about that sermon to this day. And that's part of the reason why I sometimes feel bad about not going, because like Pastor Kev, he's a really great pastor, man. I'm gonna probably try to link there. I don't know if they have a YouTube channel. I know they got an Instagram page, so I'll link their Instagram page in the description of this video. But anyway, moving on, because the point of this video is to show how God chooses kings and it's not man, right? So moving on, it says, and Samuel said, how can I go? If Saul hears it, he will kill me. But the Lord said, take a heifer with you and say, I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Then invite Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show you what you shall do. You shall anoint for me the one I name to you. So Samuel did what the Lord said and went to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming and said, do you come peaceably? And he said, peaceably I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Sanctify yourselves and come with me to the sacrifice. Then he consecrated Jesse and his sons and invited them to the sacrifice. So it was when they came that he looked at Eliab and said, surely the Lord's anointed is before him. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at his appearance or his physical stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see as man sees. For man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And that right there is the whole crux of it. I might just stop there, because that illustrates the point perfectly. Like men, specifically men. And this was like the whole point of this, because like I said, a lot of men are like, oh, a woman can't raise a king. He needs, a masculine role model, a masculine presence. And yes, that is absolutely true. But the Lord does not see, our Father does not see how we see. So you see Samuel, and most men in general, like if you got two sons, right? And one son is big and strong and tall and, athletic, you're going to automatically be like, yeah, like that's him. And then you might have, a nerdy, scrawny son who, is, he's a righteous person, but he's not what you imagine him to be. So most men, like I said, they would choose to lean towards and to try to build up that son, the firstborn per se, who's tall and matches all of the criteria and the archetypes that, the man, the father has in his head. But we see here, like it says, do not look at his appearance or at his physical stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see as the man sees. For man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. So that shows you that like men do not have the ultimate understanding or authority in choosing who is going to be, the heir, who is going to, inherit the crown, inherit the blessings, right? Let me just read this briefly. Well, I'll finish this verse, because you can never get too much of God's word, right? So Jesse said to Abinadab, and made him pass before Samuel. And he said, neither has the Lord chosen this one. Then Jesse made Shammah pass by, and he said, neither has the Lord chosen this one. Thus Jesse made seven of his sons pass before Samuel. And Samuel said to Jesse, the Lord has not chosen these. And Samuel said to Jesse, are all the young men here? Then he said, there remains yet the youngest. And there he is, keeping the sheep, being a shepherd, being a leader, right? And Samuel said to Jesse, send and bring him, for we will not sit down till he comes here. So he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, with bright eyes and good looking. And the Lord said, Arise, anoint him, for this is the one. Himmy! That's Himmy! Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brothers, and the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel arose and went to Ramah. So we see here that Samuel is a man of God. He's a prophet. He's literally in direct communication with God. And even his viewpoint, his views are tainted, right? So you go back to the beginning. He's like, oh, the firstborn. That surely the Lord's anointed is before him. It has to be him, right? He's tall, he's pretty, he's athletic, and God is like, no, like that's not who I picked. I don't like him. Like not that I don't like him, but it's just like that's not my chosen. That's not my king. So, and I just, going off on a little tangent here, I see so many, I see a lot of men who have all of the physical aspects. They be tall, dark, handsome, big muscles, whatever it is, that, men and women historically associate with, rulership characteristics and high value qualities. But so many of them, it's their mindset and their spirit that is depraved and is wrong, is gross, quite frankly. And, you have so many people, I'll say it like this. I love to make analogies and metaphors. So if y'all have seen My Hero Academia, right? So, Deku is the main character. He's the one who inherits basically the kingship, right? He's going to be the next king, the next holder of One for All, the next Superman, basically. He starts out the show, he don't have no powers. He's a nerd. He's skinny. He gets bullied. He gets pushed around, but his heart, he's always trying to help people. He's extremely determined, resilient, forgiving, and he's that guy. And, later on in the show, we learned that there was another prospect, I guess, a person who was supposed to inherit the power. And he kind of mirrors Eliab, the one who Samuel says, surely the Lord is anointed before him, right? He's tall, he's older, he's big and strong. He's stronger than Deku at that point in the story. But that's not who All Might, who's basically God in the show. That's not who he picks to pass his powers on to. He passed it on to Deku, this little unsuspecting, nerdy, scrawny kid. He's like, no, like I like you. I see your heart. I don't see what, these other people see. I see you for you, man. So, yeah, man, I can't believe. Anyway, should I end this video? Should I show y'all my face again? Let's go back. Let's go back to the face cam real quick, y'all. So yeah, hopefully that verse and I feel like that was a really great verse to articulate what my thoughts are and what that revelation was. So hopefully you guys can see what I'm seeing and to understand that like a man or a woman can't raise a king. You have a whole bunch of 2-parent households and the kids are depraved. The kids are out here doing crazy stuff and not living a godly lifestyle. So that's not what the point is. And like I said, a young boy definitely does need a masculine role model, in the flesh, I guess, to see whether it's for good or bad, right? People can either teach you what to do or what not to do. So regardless, they need some type of masculine influence in their lives to understand how, they should or should not act. But at the end of the day, a man can't raise a man. A woman can't raise a man. A man can't raise a king. A woman cannot raise a king. Only God can raise a king. If you get picked, if you're part of the elect, if you're anointed, if you're a chosen one per se, I don't like to use that terminology because like none of us really know if we're chosen ones. That's honestly kind of prideful, to be like, I'm a chosen one. I have this great understanding. Like, nah, bro. Like, I don't know if I'm a chosen one. I hope I am. But I don't like to call myself that. But anyway, yeah, only God can, God is the omnipotent. He's the all-seeing, the all-knowing, the all-powerful. So if God doesn't anoint you, if God doesn't pick you, it don't matter how tall, how strong, how curly your hair is, how white and straight your teeth are, bro, you're not going to be him. God doesn't see what we see. God doesn't see, you know, the physical characteristics that we see. He sees the inside. He sees the inner man. He sees the heart. So if your heart not good, if your heart is full of darkness, it really don't matter with your appearance or, you know, your family life or, you know, the gifts that you've been given, you know, the talents that you have. All that is irrelevant if God doesn't pick you. Period. So yeah, to answer the question that's going to be posed in this video, can a woman raise a king? No, she can't. But a man can't raise a king either. So don't think that this is some, you know, men versus women, red pill, you know, perspective type of video. It's just the truth. We're all humans. We're all sinful. We're all evil, honestly. And we don't have the best judgment. So God has to judge for us. God has to show us the way to go. Anyway, hopefully that'll make sense to you guys. I'm gonna have to rewatch this and kind of play with the format of this video to make it make sense. But yeah, man, obviously I appreciate y'all for listening. And by chance.